Welcome to our special presentation of Hidden History, part of Hispanic Heritage Month. We will be bringing you stories that impact the Latino community both here in West Michigan and the state. We begin with a basic need we all seek and is not always accessible to everyone: health care. Exalta Health works with this vulnerable community and gives them more than just a health clinic. Let's take a look.
What makes Exalta Health special is we're here for people who don't have insurance or have low insurance, and we're trying to care for the whole family, and we're trying to do it in an integrated model, which means we are bringing in behavioral health, spiritual care, primary care, and now with the addition of us seeing pediatrics, being able to care for the family as a whole. That's been really exciting for us. We actually can many times see the whole family unit, grandparents, parents, grandchildren, and that gives us a better insight of what they're bringing to the table. Because we all know health isn't just how you're feeling or what's going on that moment in your body. It's your family, it's what support system you have. It's, all those things influence how someone does with their health care.
The people they serve in this organization are people that are essentially underserved, people that don't know the resources that are out there. And for me, that's a big reason why I like to participate or be part of this organization, just to be able to help out, the Hispanic community. For me, it's just, as long as I'm able to at least have some interaction with them, I'm happy to just make that connection.
Que es una bendición poder tener este lugar. Se siente uno querido, bienvenido, lo tratan a uno muy bien. No nada más es un lugar para la salud física, sino también emocional, espiritual. Uno aquí se siente esa armonía, la tranquilidad. Aún en los peores momentos de una enfermedad, de una noticia difícil, el apoyo que nos dan aquí es muchísimo, que nos hace sentir más tranquilos.
I think for us too, it's making sure all of us are willing to hear people's stories, to not prejudge or pre-think of why someone may be in the situation they're in. It's too easy nowadays to just make blanket statements. We need to listen to people and we need to hear each other's stories.
We'll be right back with a look at a special Spanish immersion program for young children in West Michigan. It's no secret, young children love music and dancing. Well, we found a unique class that offers both and teaches them Spanish. It's hands and feet family music. The classes are held at the YMCA of Berry County and combine music and education and Spanish language immersion through song and dance for parents, infants, and young children.
It's a combination of music and movement in Spanish, a very special program offered by the YMCA of Berry County, and we are here with Lee to talk about what that is.
So I started Hands and Feet Family Music about 3 years ago, and the curriculum that I teach now is Canta y Baila Conmigo, which really means sing and dance with me. It is so much fun. It is designed for families and children ages 0 through 5. So you'll see a variety of age groups. I'm also a Montessori teacher, so I love that mixed age group. But what's fun about it is it's all in Spanish and all of the songs are authentic. The curriculum was written by Maddie Welch. She's a Puerto Rican living in Boston, and only a few people around the U.S. are trained in it, and I'm the only one in Michigan. So I'm very excited to be offering this program.
For me, it's really great to meet other parents and just see their kids and the positivity of interacting in like a play setting, but yet embracing music and getting exposed to music and movement. So those are some of the positive things that work for us.
Yeah, and it's something that you'll find here in Berry County. Why would a parent or a loved one want to get a child involved in something like this?
Yeah, so the first 6 years of life, the children's brain develops entirely different than ours. And it learns, it can absorb. It's like a sponge. And they absorb through their senses. They need to try things out, but they don't need rigid structure. They don't need textbooks. That's not how their brain works. So this is a space where they can feel the movement, they can experience the music, and they can see their loved ones participating. And that makes a big difference. So they get excited about it, and it's all at a time in those first 6 years of life where we learn most of everything we know, that the information is stored deep down inside, and even if they don't take a Spanish class after this, it'll stay there. And later in life, in college or something like that, when they want to learn Spanish, it'll come back. Music will come back. They'll be able to do more private lessons in that. And it will help them learn other languages and other skills as well, because their brain will have more flexibility.
Well, you can look. You are dealing with some young kids, but they are having a blast doing this. That's very apparent.
Yeah, they are. The families that you see started with me right when I began, and they stayed. Every semester we have a new selection of songs. And so the fun never ends. Each semester is a new semester. We do about 3 in the school year. They're 8 to 10 weeks long each. And we just have a blast. So many of the families stick, but you don't have to. You can come just try a semester, and you can also just come try one class. Everyone is welcome to come schedule one free class visit, and that is fun.
Well, it's great. It's been so fun being here. It looks like you're having just a blast.
I am. I love it.
We are here at Hands and Feet Family Music at YMCA Berry County.
What a great way to expose children to music and Spanish, while skills can be easily learned and stored in the long-term memory. And to their credit, they are the first and only center to be certified to offer the curriculum in Michigan. We'll be right back. According to Experience Grand Rapids, Latinos are the largest minority group in Grand Rapids and represent 16% of the population in the city. That number is expected to increase. But in order to get an accurate read of who's living in the city, everybody needs to take part in the 2020 census. Emily Leonard takes a look at how the Hispanic community is encouraged everyone to take part in the census.
The fear hasn't been driven out of the community yet.
After months of legal fighting, there will not be a citizenship question on the 2020 census. A year's worth of headlines is a lot to combat. Bo Torres, the executive director of the Hispanic Center of West Michigan, says a lot of work is going into communication to unring that bell.
Over the last couple of years, that fear has really been something that we've had to face in programming, in the health arena, in education.
The upcoming 2020 census is no different. Kathy Harris, the census coordinator for the city of Grand Rapids, says it's about communication and getting people to trust the process. They're doing that by sending ambassadors into the community to meet with leaders of churches, businesses, and organizations so they can reassure their members.
Our ambassadors will be going out to those organizations, explaining the process, answering whatever questions, and if we run into that trust factor being an issue, they are there to answer those questions to make sure that everyone understands.
Ruben Geraro is one of those ambassadors.
I have a whole packet of census flyers. I even keep that in my car because I never know when I'm going to run into individuals.
He says the role fits him well because he loves to talk to people.
And our role as a census ambassador is to go and first acknowledge that fear. I don't want people to act like their fears don't have any importance, but to acknowledge it, to hear what those fears are, and then to answer those questions.
Combating fear with information and facts. Torres says a lot of people don't realize that public schools are funded around the census count. This is important for members of communities that are traditionally undercounted.
From the year 2000 to 2010, we've seen our population rise. There is a 15% rise that is expected to happen for the Latino population. But with that rise, if we're not counted correctly and if there's an undercount, how it has been historically for our population, those funds, that outreach, all of those benefits that come with a correct and accurate count will not be seen by our community.
Torres says the Hispanic Center will serve as a census hub, a place people can go to fill out their census forms. In the meantime, the education and outreach continues.
And every year, as the generations, every 10 years, as the census happens, you have to re-educate a community that may not have had that education previously.
At least for the next, 9 to 10 months, I'll be talking a lot of census language.
Thank you, Emily. In 1990, I had the privilege of interviewing Cesar Chavez on the steps of the Capitol in Lansing, Michigan. It was part of a march to protest the treatment of farm workers. Here's a clip from that day.
Well, you know, things change. They never change as fast as we want them to change. We still have a lot of problems. But they change gradually, and you know, we're still besieged with the problems of employment and the equal opportunities. The issue of education is very, very dear to us. That goes slow, and we have to work harder at that. Tenemos nosotros en la sociedad un cáncer. El cáncer es el cáncer del racismo. No somos la única nación del mundo que tenemos eso. Si no hay racismo, hay clasismo, pero en ese caso aquí hay racismo y es difícil tratar con él. Yo no sé cuál la solución es, solo que lo que sé es de que vienen olas, de repente parece que se desvanece y luego después vuelve a crecer. We've got to go out and work in the community to be able to bring about change. Without that, we can't do it. So the call is, let's unite, let's work in the community so we can get some change.
When we come back, a look at special celebrations across West Michigan to bring the Hispanic culture to everyone in our communities. This time of year during Hispanic Heritage Month, communities across West Michigan come together to celebrate and share their Hispanic culture. In West Michigan, there are 2 festivals in Grand Rapids that do just that. From the Fiesta Mexicana to the Hispanic Festival, West Michigan is proud to celebrate its diverse cultures.
My name is Gabriela de la Vega. I'm the chair for the Mexican Festival. And this weekend is happening the Fiesta Mexicana. Today we have the celebration of independence. I was very lucky because back in 1998, I got the opportunity to be a part of the Comité Patriótico Mexicano. That was actually the original committee for the Fiesta Mexicana. And today we're going to honor the founders of this Fiesta Mexicana. And I'm pretty sure all these generations are so proud of what they did in the past.
I'm Margaret Vega. My father is Francisco Vega. And I know about this festival from when I was very young. It started in 1969, which was a turbulent time in context for our country. And I believe my father, along with Molly Blakesley, felt this was a way to celebrate diversity and to bring food and culture and music mainstream. And in 1969, that was a very revolutionary idea, of course. And I think although this festival has evolved over time, as it should, and different voices have come forward, it still is about the same thing, and that is celebrating each other and being educated on what each part of the world, in this case Spanish-speaking part of the world, has as part of their culture.
So Adnoris Boricua Torres. I am the Executive Director of the Hispanic Center of Western Michigan. And what we do is we try to educate, advocate, and empower the Latino community of Western Michigan. So the Hispanic Festival is a historical festival here in the city of Grand Rapids and for Western Michigan as a whole. We're going to celebrate our culture, we're going to celebrate our foods, we're going to celebrate our music. We're really going to try to exemplify what Latino-ness is from a real cultural perspective. Everything from the Caribbean, South America, Central America, North America, realizing that the western part of the U.S. at one point was Latino. So from the Mississippi to the Pacific Ocean and down to Chile at its lowest point, everything in between, we try to celebrate all of that by speaking our language, by enjoying of each other's company, really focusing on family and having children here, having grandparents here, really reflecting what the family is and what the culture does. Everything that America holds up as that northern star is what we do as a Latino community.
Es importante para nosotros que conozcan no nada más nuestra cultura, sino quiénes somos. Gente trabajadora y gente emprendedora que ha logrado muchas cosas en esta ciudad, y es a través de estos eventos, a través de la historia, que podemos conocer más a nuestros vecinos. Y conociendo a nuestros vecinos es que tenemos más armonía en nuestra comunidad y le traemos el color y todo lo que podemos darle a esta bellísima ciudad de Grand Rapids, Michigan.
We hear about the popularity of Spanish immersion schools and how great it is to learn a different language. In Grand Rapids, they also have dual immersion, where different groups are learning new languages at the same time.
Muy bien, nuestra palabra es nubes. Muy bien, si ya estás listo, deja ver.
Hoy estamos en una escuela muy especial. Today we're in a really special school, and we're going to learn a lot more about it, where Spanish is one of its many languages here. And to tell me about it is Principal de la Barrera. So tell me what makes this school unique.
What makes this school unique is it's a dual immersion school, so we teach Spanish and English, but we start with 80% in Spanish in grades kinder and first, and then we move up to 50-50, 15 English, 15 Spanish by fourth grade. Research shows that by sixth grade, our students will perform better in average than regular schools.
And we are here in the second grade today, the second grade classroom. And with me here is the teacher, Mrs. Madrigal. Tell me what you do here during the day. How does this work?
Our regular day begins with English instruction. We do 30% English in second grade. So we learn reading, writing, social studies, science, and math, all of those in Spanish. We build a lot of vocabulary through movements, and we also do a lot of songs, activities to keep the students motivated and interacting.
So my name is Jalen Tominga, and I'm the bilingual support teacher here at Southwest Community Campus. Well, being bilingual now is a huge benefit, but I think also to be able to learn the cultures of others and to be able to appreciate that and to learn the differences and to be able to respect the differences that there are among all of our students and teachers that we have here at the school.
Caer. And the main goal is to have fun and learn both languages. Dos, muy bien.
After the break, a look at Latino roots in mid-Michigan. Mid-Michigan may not be the first area that comes to mind when talking about the Hispanic culture, but as WLNS Jorma Duran found out, not only did Latino and Hispanic roots get planted there long ago, they've been impacting our area for generations.
Is a collection of materials that were archived.
MSU librarian for Chicano Latino Studies, Diana Rivera, displays an array of Hispanic history directly connected to mid-Michigan. It's packed with pictures and details of the pioneer families who became the roots of Hispanic culture in the greater Lansing area back in the 1940s and 50s. These first families of the Latino community, mostly from Mexico and Texas, came to work and found it in the fields. Many were then persuaded to settle permanently in Michigan due to the prospect of higher pay and less discrimination.
They found that it was a different feel and vibe for what they came from. I know that was true for my family.
Soon after, area Latinos began working not only in agriculture, but in other booming state industries like railroads and manufacturing, growth Lorenzo Lopez knows very well.
I'm a Mexicano. That's what I am. I'm an American and Mexican ancestry, born and raised in Michigan.
His mother, Eldamira Lopez, became a very political, cultural, and social figure in mid-Michigan. She started the Cristo Rey Church to satisfy social needs. Then in 1973, she became the first Latina on the City of Lansing Housing Commission and served on the commission for 25 years, 16 as chairperson, that provided needed assistance to Hispanics then and help that still exists today.
She was able to create policy regarding our community in terms of housing, unemployment, health, education.
The Hispanic population in mid-Michigan remains small. In fact, is still less than 8%, but has grown and spread to the point of clear progress.
The community has grown to the point that they sort of know each other, but they don't really know them intimately, like in the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, where, you know, you just stood out.
Growth isn't just with the numbers either. Now, local Hispanics are immediately associated with field laborers and are leading the way in many areas of work.
What's happening is the transformation of our community from the agricultural area, from the factory area, my father was, to the colleges, to the universities, to the leadership, to the doctors, to the lawyers. That's the transformation of our community, and that's where our community is headed.
And to help symbolize this success, Lopez helped lead the way to highlight the importance of this roadway in the Hispanic community, now officially known as Cesar E. Chavez Avenue. It was a strip of street pioneer family-led businesses were lined up and firmly planting Hispanic roots in the heart of Michigan, Lopez says, helped make this state so great.
To make sure that our history as Americans, is reflected in our city.
The Hispanic culture in Michigan is about 100 years old, and leaders we spoke with tell us they're happy with the growth and achievement so far. But especially now, there's a sense of urgency to keep striving for equality and to be a voice for our state, respects and trusts. We'd like to thank you for joining us for our special Hidden History program celebrating Hispanic heritage in West and Mid-Michigan.